Lately, the big crypto news has been about how the Senate delivered a black eye to the SEC on its crypto rule. Is this actually a big deal for crypto? Kind of, but not necessarily how you might think. There were three things that had to come together. One, the crypto industry needed to come together in a big way, but alone they weren't enough. Two, they needed to form a coalition with other interests. Here, they formed a coalition with the industry they hate on the most, the traditional banking industry, but also one of the most powerful. Three, they needed this issue to be about more than just crypto. In this case, it was the good government process. So let's unpack each of these. First, crypto. They needed to come together, and the last time they did that was for the infrastructure bill back in the summer of 2021. You may remember that was a fight over defining what a crypto broker was and whose responsibility it was for reporting other people's taxes. The industry fought hard and even secured a bipartisan amendment, but that amendment ultimately didn't pass. In other words, even though it was a rare moment of kumbaya among the crypto players, they needed to make the tent even bigger if they were going to get something passed. So, two, they did. They found an issue that aligned with the ever-powerful Wall Street traditional banking industry. This is the same industry that crypto wants to disrupt. So how is it that they came together? SAB 121 was issued by the SEC and basically said banks can't custody crypto, meaning they can't hold crypto on behalf of their customers. But now that Bitcoin ETFs are legal, the banks want to be able to hold crypto. Because if they can't hold crypto, that means only crypto companies can hold crypto. And that's worth a lot of money. In Coinbase's February earnings release, they said that they hold 90% of the crypto in the $36 billion Bitcoin ETF market. And that's only growing, and banks went in on those fees. So the banks joined crypto, but crypto still needed more than just the banks. So three, they needed an issue that was bigger than crypto. SAB 121 was exactly right for that. Why? Because of the Congressional Review Act. For those admin law wonks out there, you'll remember that this was an agreement between President Clinton and the Contract with America Congress led by Newt Gingrich of 1996. It was a way for Congress to keep over-regulation in check by vetoing regs it didn't like. But in almost 30 years since the CRA was passed, it's only been used successfully 20 times. And that's because as a practical matter, it's very hard to get Congress to agree on very much. One thing you can get a lot of politicians to agree on, though, is that when an agency exceeds the authority that Congress has given to it, they don't like it. It undermines our system of checks and balances. With SAB 121, regardless of how you feel about crypto, just as a matter of good government, we can all probably agree that when an agency issues a regulation, we don't want them to be sneaky about it. And the GAO, in this case, had issued a ruling saying that the SEC had been sneaky. It hadn't complied with the Congressional Review Act. Now, if you're a member of Congress, you're going to take note that the GAO said that SEC had acted illegally. And that's how the crypto tent on SAB 121 got even bigger. But you might ask, the news reports seem to make a really big deal about how Senator Chuck Schumer, the Democratic Senate leader, joined the pro-crypto fight. Why aren't you mentioning that as a big takeaway? Because his vote didn't really cost him anything. Here's why. First, they're Senator Schumer's biggest donors. He's the senior New York senator. New York is where we find Wall Street, and his top donors is the banking industry. It doesn't mean he's going to vote however they want, but it also means that he's not going to make them unnecessarily unhappy. Two, and in this case, he didn't have to, because the president had given every Democrat cover. On May 8th, he had already said that he was going to veto this legislation if it got to his desk. And now everyone can happily vote for this bill, whatever their reason may be, as long as they don't get near that magic number that would override the president's veto. And they were far from it. The Senate needs 67, and they only had 60. The House needs 290, and they only had 228. So what's next? Three options. One, the president vetoes the bill. SAB 121 stays in place, but the SEC doesn't look great because it's clear that Congress is unhappy with it. Two, the president goes back on his word and signs the bill. Eesh, I wouldn't bet on that one. Three, the SEC withdraws SAB 121 before the president has to act. It says, Congress, we hear you, so we're going to pull this back and issue a notice and comment rulemaking. It's a 2+ year process, but it spares the president from having to decide whether or not he's going to act to save the SEC. Not an unreasonable option, if you ask me. If this was helpful, let me know in the comments and ask me any questions you got.